Hi, this is another one of those N equals one, how I healed or am healing from a major metabolic illness. Okay. Um, Let me start right at the beginning. This is also an experiment just to share my journey because it's a lonely journey. And there are times that you live resting and your only companion is YouTube videos and scrolling and serial killers. So, this is an attempt to share that journey and to accompany others along the way. So, my history is as follows. I grew up in South Africa in the 70s and 80s. Part of that time was in the Limpopo province, a land of cattle raising and braais, which are barbecues, and hunting. So I was extremely healthy during that time. However, when I reached the age of 14, my only symptom was vaginitis. And that was strange. There was no reason for that at that age. Um, I went to an energy healer. She used a pendulum and she used her hands and miraculously told me what to do to heal it, which worked, which was to stop all sugar. At that time, I just needed to stop sugar to be well. And so I did, pretty much, pretty well. You know what it's like. These substances are highly addictive. And if you are an impulsive person or food orientated, shall we say, you tend to lapse. But that got me through my teens and into my 20s reasonably well. When I was 18, I fell in love. And when I was 21, we broke up horribly. Oh, yes, when I was 18, I also got sick again. I had possibly a glandular fever. That's what the doctor said. And I started going to the doctor all the time. I had cystitis, so they kept giving me antibiotics. I got sick in the middle of my second year of university, and I never got better. I got tired. So I decided for myself, okay, this is probably chronic fatigue and candida. And sure enough, when I went on the candida diet, of no grains, hardly any carbs, lots of low carb veg, lots of yogurt, lots of eggs, and a little bit of meat because I was a wannabe vegetarian. I've had great compassion for animals. So this period of my life was uh, characterized by lacto-vegetarianism. And sure enough, I would get better, kind of, but it took great discipline and great difficulty with the diet, permanently hungry. And whenever I was getting well, I was getting skinny, which was great, but involved like 20 hours of hunger a week. So I was yo-yoing along. I was getting pretty sick. I mean, I battled to get out of bed on less than 16 hours sleep. I had no inflammation. I just had enormous fatigue and brain fog, um, complexified by rather tough emotional childhood, coming up and being integrated. So I had lots of emotional and spiritual integration happening at this time. And of course, the vaginitis, which accompanied me continuously from the age of 14 right through my teens and my 20s until the age of 29, where it switched off like that. Okay, so we'll get there. Living mainly on organic vegetables, being an uber hippie and very poor, with a little bit of grain and almost no meat because I was really trying to be kind to animals, really trying to not harm living beings. And it was part of my subculture. It still is. My subculture has gone vegan now. This got me through until about the age of 29, I'd say, with periods of remission, especially accompanied, I'd go on a spiritual awakening and my whole world would change and reality would shift and I'd become resilient and when I'm well, I'm extremely athletically capable and I've got masses of energy and everything's wonderful. Okay. And when I'm sick, it can go into chemical depression, but extreme lethargy. At the age of about 29, two things happened. One was I got much sicker. I went to a little rave festival and I swam in a river. And after that festival, my whole body went like it was on fire. It burnt up with inflammation. And burned and burned and burned and burned and burned. And I started taking Disprin. Disprin is, I think it's a COX-1 aspirin-based, yes. Aspirin-based anti-inflammatory, and it would work for 2 or 3 hours, but it would make everything worse. Immediately afterwards, there'd be this rebound inflammation. This didn't happen for very long, just for a few weeks, because I'm not a pill taker, and I was just doing this because I didn't know what else to do. So I stopped the Disprin when I realized what was happening, which didn't take long. And I didn't know what to stop eating. I didn't know what to do. I was so sick. I had inflammation everywhere, like just boom, overnight. But it was so low key. It was like, look, my joints are undamaged. Well, the damage is invisible. And in fact, it's almost non-existent now. All right. This is in my mid-50s. Okay. So I started fasting, but fasting off a lacto-vegetarian diet is brutal. You feel so weak, so sick. You struggle to do it. It's moving mountains for little gain. Not zero gain, but little gain, because I knew that fasting can cause autoimmune conditions to go into remission, but I didn't have a diagnosis. I've never had a diagnosis. Okay. The other major shift that happened when I was 29 was I went on a spiritual awakening course, I guess, run by a Muslim and Jewish team of 2 women with supporters. And they blew my socks off. I had a major cathartic awakening and insight relating to childhood trauma. My vaginitis stopped and it never returned. My tonsillitis stopped at the same time and never returned. I used to get tonsillitis 3 or 4 times a year. But when I say never, I mean almost never for both, okay? But almost practically, for all intents and purposes, never. Great. However, the inflammation and fatigue remained with me, and I continued to struggle with it. I went for homeopathic re-injection of part of your immune system back in, and again, all of these things helped. There was like supplements for Africa, they all helped. I'm a firm believer in supplements. I spent a small fortune paying a doctor to find out I was allergic to practically everything at one point, went off practically everything, got skinny, starved, got healthy, took supplements that helped liver detox. I think liver detox pathways are part of this. And I've continued to struggle on a shoestring budget, mainly vegetarian. Or then I went, okay, I can't be vegetarian. Whenever I'm vegetarian for longer than a few weeks, I get depressed and I get weak. So I started eating meat once a week as my routine. And that went on for another decade. Again, yo. Now I hit COVID. Oh, just a bit more. Now, I've always been like the walking unwell in a sense that I struggle to hold down a full-time job. It's not suitable for my personality, so it causes me huge stress. And this then takes its toll. Plus, the lack of self-pacing involved in working in somebody else's time schedule takes its toll. So I had one job. I was building up property, so hard manual labor every weekend. but I wasn't making it. So I took a second job as a temporary active to help someone out, okay? And also to open my options up of maybe switching from the one job to the other job and to get a new motorbike and to just generally try to get ahead. This was a mistake because I was starting to get sicker and sicker and sicker and more exhausted. And then I was hit by the blow of an old lover's suicide. And this devastated me. I basically just tried to go to work, went to work, cried all day, didn't do any work, couldn't charge for the time, and was stuffing my face with whatever was available to deal with the exhaustion, which was obviously a mistake. So I resigned from everything. I got so sick, I went straight to bed, and for a year and a half, pretty much, would say that I had moderate chronic fatigue syndrome. Still low inflammation, but present. Moderate chronic fatigue syndrome, for those of you who are fortunate enough not to have it, means that you are well enough to do some simple housework chores and go to the shops once a week or something like that. You're not well enough to work. You can get out of bed, however, and do light tasks, not very often. This obviously caused extreme poverty. So there I'm living still on kind of organic veg because I'm still growing, and I've got a gardener friend. So I'm growing some veg and I'm living on veg and carbs and meat once a week and getting so broke that for the last 4 days of each month, I can't eat. So what happened coincidentally was that I got so poor. What happened is, I was very poor and living in a little shack quite happily. Apart from being sick, I was happy. I found peace. What happened then was, now I'm a massage therapist, it's my love, and an energy healer, that's my other love. So I wanted to work on people. So I did the work in the community, and I worked on someone who had homeless person lice, body lice. This is the lice that killed the Russian army. No, not the Russian army, the German army. When they went into Russia, they all got typhoid and died and keeled over from body lice. Body lice are not like head lice, which are minor. You know, you go, ew, and you take a home remedy or you buy something at the pharmacy and boom, it's gone. Pubic lice are apparently even easier. Body lice actually burrow into your skin, and they're large, they're scary and revolting. And at the same time, I worked on another person who had scabies. So I got 2 parasitic skin infections. Now, ivermectin sorts both of those out immediately within days, 90%, and it inoculates your entire environment. But in South Africa, ivermectin was restricted. I couldn't get it. So I had to borrow money from family and friends to buy remedies at the pharmacy, which didn't work, hurt my body. They were excruciatingly painful and uncomfortable and didn't work. And I was like quarantining myself and boiling all my clothes. And the result of boiling all my clothes all the time and ironing them, these lice were so tough, they just didn't stop coming. They were heat resistant, cold resistant, everything resistant, super resistant lice. I don't know where they came from. Was that I had no clothes and it was midwinter. Cold, wet Cape winter where the pipes freeze overnight. Not cold by American and European standards probably, but below zero, okay? And so there I was, I had no clothes, I had no bedding. And I was like shivering away on this wooden floor, drafty wooden floor, with heaters all around me, listening to binaural beats to try and calm down because I'm busy fighting with all my strength to stop this infection because it's totally freaking me out. So the extreme cold, and I think the excitement of fighting this monstrous enemy with no resources shocked myself into remission. Despite the fact I was living on like fried dough because I was so poor. And this was a huge blessing because it happened just at the moment that I got work overseas. So I went overseas to Saudi Arabia to teach English. Infectious on the plane, like trying so hard not to infect the plane. I really hope and pray I succeeded because I got the infections down to very low. I didn't even sleep in the hotel bed because I didn't want to give anyone else what I was having. So once I had been in Saudi for a month or two, still infectious, I finally had now access to a credit card and I could buy ivermectin online as a horse dewormer paste. Bob's your uncle, clear of all that. So I was in remission for about 5-6 months, eating the very delicious and interesting Mediterranean Saudi diet, which is so divine. Hummus with lots of vegetable oil and sesame seed in it, lots of freshly made flatbread, which they sell to you as they make it. Like boom, and you buy it, and it's delicious. And it's like for a few pence, which for me is obviously a value coming from where I did with rags and poverty. And delicious, 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 delicious things of lots of dairy and eggplant and tomato and chips and the local bread, which is called khubs, and vegetable oils. So you can imagine what happened. High stress, high stress environment, extremely oppressive work culture. This was the last country to ban slavery, and they never really did it because they thought it was wrong. So I was working under Saudis, and there was that culture of bullying that goes with that. Also, being a woman, I'm sorry, guys, but to be honest, it's oppressive. I've checked it out. But now I've got access to data. And I start listening to Dr. Eric Berg, and I start following his advice. So shout out to Dr. Eric Berg. Thank you. You saved me. Thank you. On intermittent fasting and on keto. And I buy a ton of supplements. I got them racked up. Okay. And I start going into remission. From there, I come across Michaela Peterson. So shout out to Michaela Peterson. Thank you, thank you. You totally saved me. And I listen to her and I start shifting to carnivore. And I go into major remission. It is so exciting. I'm very weak, right? I've already got to the point where I'm sleeping 16 hours a day, which means 8 hours of work, which means zero life. It's just bed and work, bed and work, bed and work, and low stim. I can't handle bright lights. I can't handle loud voices. Basically just listening mainly to near-death experiences and soothing voices on YouTube and lying in bed. That's it. So I get to the point, I have a dream of running. And I run 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 in the dream. And I start walking slowly around the block. Start slowly doing some exercises in my lounge. It's lockdown. Lockdown was a blessing for me. It's quiet time. I get well. I start getting strong and well on carnivore. That was in COVID. Ever since then, I've been mainly on COVID. Mainly on carnivore and getting better all the time. Stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And my journey continues. The themes are all there because I'm not a good abstainer. I'm a terrible abstainer. And it's lonely here. It's lonely to be in exile. I've been through a marriage and a divorce. And life is complicated, but here I am. So this is the first part of sharing my journey. I hope it's inspiring and helpful for somebody out there lying in bed, aching and feeling like terrible in the head because the brain fog that comes with all this, that dreadful cognitive, painful feeling of being unwell. I don't know what everybody else's symptoms are, but for me, that's been one of the characteristics and also one of the things that's been driving food misuse because what makes you feel better. It's a little bit of what hurts you. Not an easy journey. So this is blog 1. I think I'm going to continue with this. Let's see how it goes. If you like it, like, share, and subscribe. This will help me with my side hustles because mainstream work is not for me. Okay. All right. So blessings to all. Thank you. Bye.